Hi, everybody. This is Jason.
This is Pete.
And this is the Lost Legions podcast. And we're roasting today, Pete. And why don't you tell them what we're doing?
Yeah, melting in the heat as we record. So if you can hear fans and things in the background, please just bear with it. We are bearing with the heat. We are here to talk about the new faction focus articles released on the Warhammer community. We've had both the Traitor and the Loyalist one out now. So we wanted to do a sort of an overview and talk about our good points and our concerned points, shall we say.
I think Pete and I have been actually really busy too. We went to a event last weekend,
Discordia,
which was really, really fun. Yeah.
Shout out
to everybody. Yeah, good. And it was really fun. So Pete and I have been super busy. Pete was on a holiday. Then we went to this event and we've been meaning to record. So all this stuff's pop up in the meantime.
Yeah, and we're getting closer and closer to a release date by the looks of things. So hopefully soon we'll be actually digging into proper details. But until then, we're going to keep going with little snippets of information.
Let's jump into Rites of War then.
Yeah. So what do you think then? These new faction focus.
Oh, let's jump to the. Can we jump to the Loyalist one?
Oh, of course we can. Sorry, the Traitor and me immediately want to talk about Traitor.
There's the nice little intro in the Loyalist one is why. So Rites of War. What are Rites of War? As old Heresy players, we know there are different ways to limit and take new, different Force Org stuff. And now they're totally different. I think Pete and I got into a conversation before we started recording. I think Rites of War are now just as it says, an overarching title for the Legion's rule set. So basically your Legion trait, your advanced reaction, and your gambits are in there. And Legion traits are now called Legion Tactica.
Yes. And gambits, just so everyone's up to speed.
Go ahead.
Gambits are your I choose you, go Pokemon close combat mode. It's basically what it is.
Yeah,
right? It's a challenge mechanic, so you get a unique challenge mechanic.
We can see it when we get into Decapitration Strike, and the Traitor one also shows how oddly specific they can be.
Yeah,
but
not happy
I think
that.
it's gonna take a while to get your head wrapped around. I think this if you're a 2.0 or 1.0 Heresy player, that your Legion rule is now your Legion Tactica, but the entire thing is your Rite of War. So I would have, this would be the Raven Guard's Rites of War for me or something, or the Iron Warriors Rites of War for Pete.
Yes.
Why don't we jump into some examples? Do you want to maybe go through the Hunter Strike Space Wolf one?
Yeah, sure. So the Hunter Strikes, Space Wolf's Legion Tactica. Space Wolves may make a longer setup move. And we know the setup move is the initial movement part before you then do your assault range. And the charge mechanic now. Models with this special rule must add +2 inches to the distance of any setup move to a maximum of 6 inches. Now, forgive me, Jay, I can't remember off the top of my head what the standardized setup move distance is. Did we work out to be 3 inches?
I think it's infantry? 3. Yeah. I think for just regular bog standard TAC Marine kind of power armor guy, I think it's 3 inches
plus the D6 for the distance, right? So then, So this is quite cool in terms of how much it's going to change the threat range. I know it's nowhere near the same as run and charge. And obviously this is designed to be the replacement for that. But it is going to mean that they're still better at getting into combat more often than other Legion units will be. As long as every other Legion tactic is dulled down a bit and not so crazy, then this is perfectly fine in my opinion. What do you think? I know I've never played with Space Wolves though, so I've played against them many times, but not with them. So what do you think?
I think there's going to be a lot of wailing and gnashing at teeth about the losing +1 weapon skill in the charge on heavy things.
Yep.
However, I do feel like looking at the new rules, this keeps in the spirit of the, wolves rushing to get in. And I brought this up a few times in chat. Do you remember when in the last edition the Alpha Legion came out and everybody looked at the -2 inches thing and everyone was like, and by everyone I mean me and a few other people were like, oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And then as the edition developed, it turned out to be really good. So this could end up being excellent. even though it might look a tad lackluster right now. But I mean, again, also remember, like, jump pack guys, this might go all the way to 5 or 6. I can't remember off the top of my head, right? But like, it's going to be a lot higher.
Oh, 6 or 5.
I think,
5 maybe.
I think there might be +4, +5 or something. So like, so they make it all the way to +6. So like, there could be ways to make this actually really, really strong compared to other people who aren't going to be able to charge that distance with the setup strike. So yeah, I would say I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I have to see how the other rules work, but I think I see potential for this to be cool.
Yeah.
Why don't we move into the Decapitation Strike Raven Guard Gambit?
Yeah. Do you want to do this one?
Sure. As Pete kind of said, gambits are like the challenge mechanic now, where your character uses a gambit, and in this one, this seems interesting to me. This gambit allows the model to make a single attack first, followed by the remainder of the attacks if the first attack is successful. So this gambit may be selected once per challenge. When selected, no focus roll is made. Focus roll is the one that makes you go first. You usually add the bonuses and roll off, then that person goes first.
Yeah.
Instead, the controlling player of the model for which this gambit has been selected makes a single attack at the end of the focus step. If the hit and wound tests are both successful, they can then do the rest of their attacks.
Okay.
I think this is cool, kind of. I think the problem with it is, to me, you're then going to have a whole bunch of Raven Guard characters wandering around with whatever the Thunderhammer equivalent is, instead of...
It's not an initiative, is it? A challenge, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. But you're also just not even like, you're just going to want to wound, because otherwise you lose the rest of your attacks. I feel like if you didn't lose all of your attacks, and maybe you just lost one attack, you wouldn't necessarily be driving people to run around with Thunderhammer or whatever the Thunderhammer of the day is. Like, it probably is going to change. But like, because if you don't wound, you lose all your attacks. So you're not going to want to use a power sword or whatever, per se, because you're not going to wound on a 2. So yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with this. I like the idea of it. I think it's interesting. I think we're seeing how varied these gambits are going to be. So, yeah. Why don't we move on to what we all know from 2.0, the Advanced Legion reactions. Yeah. Sure. I want you to talk about this one, because I'm curious how crazy you think it is. We never even talked about this one.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we? Yeah. I mean, I've sort of read this, and I don't think I understand it fully, but so Vengeance of the First Legion. Oh, here we go. Dark Angel's advanced reaction. This reaction allows the controlling player to choose to repeat the fight sub-phase. So trigger, once per battle, the reactive player may declare the Vengeance of the First Legion advanced reaction after the last initiative step of a combat that includes a unit under that player's control, which only includes models with a Dark Angel's trait. Has been resolved, but before the make final pile-in moves step. They're not very good at naming all their steps, are they? Make final pile-in moves step is a horrible set of words. Cost. The reactive player must spend 1 point. The target unit is always a unit in combat. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this allows you to repeat combat, but as a reaction, right?
Yeah.
So you're charging me, and I'm a Dark Angels player, and then I can choose to go, I'm going to activate Vengeance of the First Legion. So you come into me, and then I get to slash you, and then I get to choose to slash you again.
We fight. No, I think it's we fight. Then the round ends, and then instead of us just moving on, you go, I'm going to use Vengeance of the First Legion and attack again.
Oh, okay. So it's not. Yes, you're right. So it's done at after the last initiative steps. So it's not done like current assault phase reactions. It's done at the end of the assault. It's done at the end of the combat, essentially. Okay. All right. So you don't declare it in advance. I think that's pretty good, to be honest. Like if you like you've got the edge on it, especially if you have the next player turn and you really you think you can get out of that combat and then use your guys to do something else again. Pretty cool. pretty...
Especially for those Dark Angel Terminators, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, seems pretty good. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. Their old one was terrible. I barely even remember what it was. I think I used it once. Like it was something about
like
fear.
Leadership 10 or something. Yeah, yeah.
It was absolutely horrible. This is really good. We'll see what the rest of them are. I hope they're all this quality. I do know what one of the other ones is on the Traitor one. We'll talk about that in a minute.
We'll go to that in a minute, sure. We're not going to read any of these bits, are we? Or do you want to?
I mean, just it talks about Sigismund. He has weapon skill 7 with 5 attacks and a custom gambit, right? So what we're seeing is these named characters are going to have custom gambits.
Yeah,
that's, I think, the bit of information to take away from this. So we can expect that. I mean, maybe even some of the consoles will have gambits. Don't know, but I'm just kind of inferring from what we're seeing here. But yeah, let's jump over the Traitors, because I think we can talk about the actual information there and then kind of our analysis of the whole Rites of War.
So the Traitors. One question then, because me and Jay briefly discussed this before recording, but it goes on to say here, just before we get to this Rites of War part and start talking about the World Eaters, and that the Emperor's Children and World Eaters are the first to see big changes, and they both get 2 Rites of War each. Now, does that mean all legions will have at least 2 Rites of War? It seems like they're making a point to say that these ones specifically get 2 Rites of War, which is kind of weird.
Fluff-wise,
yeah,
they change.
Yeah,
right?
True.
Because and in 1.0, I'm not sure 2.0, but 1.0 they definitely had multiple ones. I think Emperor's Children had 2 Legion traits in, because remember they had the Slaanesh version
the
once they got
book,
corrupted. Yeah, and you could take that Legion trait and you dropped your old one. And I believe the same thing with the World Eaters. They had them, I think it's in 1.0. Forgive me, guys. You can put it in the comments, but I don't remember exactly when they changed. But like, I know both of them already had 2 different Rites of War for when the Legions change.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this means that everyone will have 2 different rule sets.
Because by proxy, this should mean that they then both have 2 separate Legion Tactica rules now, right? In theory.
Well, the Rites of War, my guess is, because it says the Rites of War are the whole thing, my guess is they'll have a new Tactica, a new Gambit, and a new
Unique Reaction.
Unique Reaction, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but like, I'm just kind of extrapolating from what it says, because they're very specific, and they say the Rites of War are now these 3 things. So I would guess that they would have in different phases depending on when you're playing them. So kind of like bolt action, right? Like, you have the early German army versus the late German army.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're kind of trying to represent here, is different eras with the different Rites of War for them. So like the blue and white World Eaters versus the red and white World Eaters.
And maybe it'll be a case of just guessing, maybe like you can only run Cacophony, Slaaneshi, Rite of War, if you're also not running the Rite of War of the early Heresy era, Emperor's Children or something, right? Do you reckon you can run 2 Rites of War together? Like if it...
No. I mean, like I don't. Nope. Like I don't think you will.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Well, because it doesn't. That totally like misses the point of what they are for. So I don't think you'd be able to run them together.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because then you'd be running like the Slaanesh ones with the non-Slaanesh ones, and I don't think that's a thing that they meant to happen. I think you're only going to get 1 Rites of War. Could you maybe run 1 detachment with a different detachment with different characters? Maybe. But there probably will be a rule that you have to, if I vaguely remember seeing this somewhere, that a allied detachment has to be a different
legion.
A different legion than yours. Yeah, a different force than yours. Okay. So I think that's what it's like. Don't hold me to this, but that's just pure guessing. But yeah, I think that's good to bring up, right? So we could see different versions of the same Legion in different places with different rules,
but
which is kind of cool.
And Rites of War, it hasn't mentioned anything about Legion-specific wargear, has it?
No.
So
I think that's going to be a separate thing. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. A little bit nervous with this, but it's good. It's good. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Let me talk about the nails bite. So the World Legion Tactica. This one's a little more complex than what we've seen before, and I have some interesting feelings about this one. I think the rules are really good, so we'll get into the rules. The controlling player may choose that a World Eater unit becomes lost to the nails when fails a leadership check, and this is where my problem kind of lies. When you become lost to the nails, models of the unit may add +1 to the distance of any setup move, so you're like a junior Space Wolf. Modify the attack characteristic model in that unit by 1. You're considered to have a 10 leadership, cool and willpower, which is great. And you have to charge anybody within 12. And then once nobody's within 12, you can choose to not be lost to the nails. The rules are amazing, but the limitation of you need to fail a leadership check is pretty interesting. So
yeah, situational, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, so for example, the Night Lords one was situational. They had to in 2.0. They had to outnumber, but that was something you could engineer. This kind of depends on the opponent, like shooting at you or doing something to make you take a leadership check. So I'm not sure how this is going to work. I mean, unless there's something unfluffy like running around with psychers making leadership checks.
Oh dear, don't.
Great.
My brain immediately went to, isn't the sergeant rule now that you can choose to take the sergeant's characteristic in the unit? So you'd be like, yeah, Jeff, random guy Jeff, he's going to be making my leadership test now. Not
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I ain't rolling leadership 8, I'm going to roll leadership 7.
Yeah, 100%. I think it is. You could choose. So yeah, Jeff is totally going to be up for the World Eaters. So I mean,
yeah.
What do you think? It sounds interesting.
It's like Ghetto Thousand Suns, where you only get your bloody Legion rule if you take a leadership test. Like you have to test for your Legion rule, but a test that you can't even choose to make yourself. So
yeah, it's just weird. The rules are really good though. When it happens, they're excellent. Like it's better.
And you're gonna
be +1 attack.
You're gonna be taking leadership checks, right? Because the opponent's going to need. Hey, do you want to fight 20 dudes without this buff, or do you want to fight 10 dudes maybe with the buff? So it's like, well, you're up for 10 dudes maybe with the buff if you can kill a few, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's gonna be interesting. I just think it like the fact that your opponent's picking who's triggering this is the interesting thing, and also it's not guaranteed. So, but once they do get lost to the nails, like they're pretty much guaranteed, if they're close, to just sit there and fight. I do like that you don't have to be lost to the nails either, too. It says you can choose. So
yeah,
they don't need to go berserker mode. So if like somebody shoots your heavy support squad, they're not just gonna throw their last cannons down, pull out their chain axes, and be like berserker claw. So yeah, that's cool. Why don't we jump down to the next one, which strategically I've left for you.
So the Breaker, Iron Warriors.
This might break Pete.
This is the first Iron Warriors related piece of intel we've got. I'm not happy, but there we go. So this gambit allows a friendly unit to make a shooting attack targeting a model that Perturabo is in a challenge with. Which is a really odd thing to do, because presumably he should be going up against the best of them in combat, right?
He's just too lazy to swing that hammer.
I know. So the breaker. This gambit can only be selected during the first face-off step of a challenge. If this gambit is selected, this model does not make attacks during the subsequent strike step. So you cannot attack. So he just decides to call in a volley from somewhere.
Yeah. He's like this. He's like, Mom, shoot this guy. I'm playing World of Warcraft. I can't be bothered.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Jesus. That's a Robo Cartman. Yeah. If it was like a weakening volley before he swings his hammer, then
wait for the worst part. Have you got to the worst part yet?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I think I got back to there when I read it earlier today. I was like, nah.
Can I just jump in and tell you the worst part?
Go for it.
All such attacks are resolved as snapshots.
What?
With the exception of weapons that are blast or template may not be used. So not only does he not attack your Primarch, he calls someone to shoot, but they're snap shooting.
Okay, I mean,
I don't know. I don't understand it. It doesn't.
He could call in like 10 las cannons, I guess, just slap another Primarch in the face.
Yeah, but they're also snap shooting.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you are correct.
So I guess you wouldn't want 10 BS4 las cannons just hitting your other guy without a unit to tank the wounds.
They also have to be within 12.
12?
Right.
Yeah. No, what's the point? What's the point?
Maybe the Iron Circle have some sort of guns. Do the Iron Circle have some sort of gun? Do they have melta guns? Do the Iron Circle have melta
bolt
guns?
cannons, I think.
Okay, well there you go.
Bolt cannon.
That's what this is. This is shoot them down with your bolt cannons. I can't be bothered to fight this Primarch. I don't know. It's a really weird gambit. So let's go back. I like the ideas, and I think we're going to see a couple of this. And the Raven Guard 1-2 is very situational, right? Because you're going to have a weapon that's big and wander around with it, and if you don't do it, you don't get to do your attacks. We'll probably see a couple of these, I'm guessing, per Legion. I'm guessing there's not just going to be one of these, because this would be weird. This might be Perturabo's personal gambit. Sorry, Pete. But
I think it is.
Yeah.
So can you just have 10 melta gun dudes just riding in a rhino, following Perturabo around everywhere?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you're hitting on 5s, but each one's potentially 6 wounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's the but that's literally not the idea of a challenge, isn't it? It's I think that what some of
these
are
shooting in challenges. No,
I believe both of these are out of order. These are before the other guy attacks. If I'm, let's see. Gambit says first face off. The Gambit is selected. The model does not make attacks in this job. Instead, select slightly friendly unit of models close to Ironware trait within 12. They're all very wordy. I think that this happens before they attack. So I think that that's the difference between the two of these. It's interesting that they showed both of those, but I can see why it's very situational. It's extremely situational.
Yeah. Anyway,
for that one time when you have your 12 multi-gunners hanging out with you and you guys are having beers and then Sigismund runs up to you, this will be great.
I got it, boss.
But yes, let's jump on to my old Legion and we'll talk about this. So as far as I could tell,
the better part of Valor.
This is effectively the exact same rules that is in 2.0. I can't really tell. So the better part of Valor. The reaction allows you to fall back when this is a target of a challenge. The reactive player may declare Better Part of Valor as an advanced reaction in step 4 of the charge process of any charges declared by the active player that targets a unit which only includes model with the Night Lord's trait. So you spend 1 reaction point, and then you fall back. And then once the move is complete, your reacting unit does not gain the routed tactical status. This is pretty much just worded for 3.0, the exact same as the 2.0 reaction. So I find it interesting that they showed this off to us. And And the only reason I could think they shut it off to us because they wanted to show that not everything has changed.
Yeah.
And this is how it works in 3.0 now. So this is a good advanced reaction. I thought it was kind of lackluster when I started playing 2.0, and this has become one of my favorite advanced reactions. Officially, one time it has not worked. And it was this last weekend when I wasn't even playing Night Lords.
Yeah.
Because I had a special ability that gave me the Night Lord's advanced reaction. Don't ask, it was a campaign thing. And it didn't work. So this is a really good advanced reaction. I think it can really make or break a moment.
I think that.
What do you think?
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's good. I think that I like both of the advanced reactions, to be quite honest. I think they both seem quite good from the examples they've given.
Yeah.
Have you read this part about this Thousand Suns Saturnine Dreadnought? Go ahead, read that. I want to see your live reaction to that if you've not read it before.
My favorite unit so far is the Thousand Suns Saturnine Dreadnought. Taking one of these with Pavoni, Prospering Arcana is great. At the cost of a reaction point, you can use Stoneform. Psychic reaction. Sorry, guys. Stoneform Psychic reaction to give the model a +2 toughness for the remainder of the shooting subphase and make it a mighty 10 toughness. Wow. Okay. I mean,
carry on. Carry on.
Add the thermal diffraction field, and you have even last cannons and multi-meltas wounding it on a 6. What? This is great until the Perils of Warp inevitably removes its last wound and explodes. But at least it goes out doing what it loved, channeling uncontrolled amounts of warp energy. I am not even sure
wounding on
how
6s.
I am not even sure what that means.
Anyway, I just read that earlier and was like, that sounds insane. That sounds like a really good way to sell that new Saturnine Dreadnought.
I think the problem with this whole paragraph is that there's a whole bunch of like, trust me, bro, like this is cool stuff that we don't know what it is. So what's stone form? I guess it gives you +2 toughness. What's a thermal diffraction field? Don't know.
Lowers the strength of incoming laser and melter weapons, probably, I would argue.
But like, don't know. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's the same thing with the next. I think they're just trying to tease us, but I feel very a little bit like I'm like, just let me know. Stop teasing me.
Yeah. It's the fatigue, isn't it? It's kicking in a little bit of the. Well, I think this is also just come away from playing probably my last game of Heresy. I don't know if you've got any more lined up.
2.0 Heresy.
Yeah, 2.0. Yeah, I'm done. No, yeah. That Heresy 2.0. It's probably the last game's done, unless I have a casual game between now.
Next episode will be our Old World podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So now I just want the book, right? I want to read it. I want to feel it. I want to sniff it. I want to get it in me.
You were talking about this on the chat. I can see you just chomping at the bit.
Because I just need to know what the Iron Warriors do now, and I need to build lists. So anyway, that's going off on a different topic. Let us know what you think.
I just want to get your final thoughts on the Rites of War before we run away. I saw you're about to wrap us up, but what are your final thoughts on the Rites of War? What are your thoughts on how they've changed? And then we'll wrap up.
I don't mind them in principle, but we've only seen a snippet of them so far, and I'm hoping there's a lot more details to them. I'm hoping the detachments it opens up maybe have some additional rules on those detachments. I think that could be fun if so. I kind of hope so. Because if it's just, like as you gave the example earlier with the Space Wolves, losing all their other bits and just having that, if it is just that and a gambit, that's a bit of a letdown really from where it was beforehand in terms of varying amounts of flavour, I guess. I hope there are still generic Rites of War that might allow you to still just use the Legion Tactica or something. I know you think that's gone for sure because it specifically says you get a Legion Tactica with your Rite of War. Yeah, for me, the attraction of Rites of War previously, or the attraction of building your army, was there's like, oh, here are these 10 to 15 different ways you can build a force. I know by removing the force organization chart, they're opening up all the detachments so you can have all of the stuff you want. But I don't think it's necessarily about having all the units. It's adding the effects and changes to the units. That's the fun part for me. So in answer to your question, long way round, I am slightly disappointed, but also reserving judgment until we've seen the whole thing.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate they called it Rites of War because I think it's confusing for 2.0 players and 1.0 players. I think that that's the biggest lose that's happened right now. I think that this whole thing is now your Legion traits. Like, I think that's what it is. You're gonna get the Tactica, the gambits, and the advanced reaction, and we're not sure, but you might end up with unique Legion detachments, and I could see that happening as well. That those whole things are going to be your Rites of War, your Legion Rites of War. You know, it could be okay. Like you said, if it's just what we saw, I will feel like, you know, for example, the Space Wolf did lose some flavor. But I'm expecting there to be more, so we'll see. I'm hopeful there won't be clear winners and losers like in 2.0. The Rite of War the Advanced Legion reaction for the Dark Angels was terrible. But they were a clear loser there from everyone else, but they were a winner in the amount of cool units they had, so it was fine. It kind of ended up being a wash. But like, you know, these two that we've seen, I would say kind of are on par. Hopefully all of them are more balanced. I mean, I think the nails bite has a lot of flavor. Might be a little hard to use. We'll see how it handles in practice. But I mean, the amount of flavor in there is really good compared to the Space Wolf one. Hopefully we get as much flavor in the Nails Bite and also as much effectiveness as the Space Wolves one. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to see. So we'll see as they come out. But mainly I'm hopeful. I understand where your eyebrows are raised, and I'm not calling you wrong. But yeah, we'll see how it is. And I think that's about it. Cool. Anything else?
No, that's it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Drop us a like, drop us a subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.